Outlook is more than just an email program. It also allows you to keep important information about various people or people that you have contact with. Now, to look at the contact side of Outlook, first of all, let's have a look at this screen. On the left-hand side, I have my folders pane. At the bottom, I have my navigation options. If I was to click the people option, I would be thrown into the various contact folders and the various people that I have in Outlook. And you can see this on the left-hand side. Now the options in my navigation pane look sort of grey, which means that I've gone through this option people, and notice also people is blue. So that's sort of implying to me that this is the view I've currently chosen. But I'm going to go back to the folders view, and so that's the folders view, it's blue now, the wording, and it's the folders view that I see in the folders pane, and instead I'm going to scroll down and I'm going to find my contacts folder. Now you'll have at least one contacts folder, and what I'll be showing you is how you can create several if there's various groups of contacts that you regularly work with. But clicking on the contacts folder, I then have a particular view in that folder. And what I'm seeing here is the people's view, and it's these little circles and faces and so on. Now up on the Home tab in the current view group, you can see also that you have the people's view of the contacts folder. And notice I'm still in the folders view in the folders pane. Instead of the people's view, I'm going to try the business card view, and that looks like that. If I hit the More button, you'll see there's more views such as Card. This is the Card view. Now when it comes to the Card view also, you can drag and resize, make the columns sort of wider, or make the columns narrower and see more on the screen. And the other option you've got is a phone list, and the other option you've got is just a list. So there's a variety of views that you can have when you're viewing your contacts or your people. Now I'm going to go to the business card view, and I want you to be in the business card view. When you're in the business card view of the contacts folder, then what you're able to do is you're able to create a new contact using the new contact button, which is up here on the left hand side of the Home tab, or Control N will also create a new contact in this context. I'm going to create a new contact, and it's going to bring up this screen here. Now what you then do is put in the full name of the person. So someone may have handed you a business card and you decide that you want to add them as a contact to your Outlook because you feel that they're somebody that you would regularly have contact with. And so you can fill in their full name, their company, and their job title. It'll file it as Barker Cathi, so I'll be under the B's. And also at the right hand side you can start to see a business card is being created. I can enter an email address for the person, and in fact when I hit this drop down you'll see I can enter up to 3 email addresses. So I might enter another email. Oops, excuse me. And I might enter a 3rd email. So you can actually enter up to 3 email addresses and simply move to them by clicking this option here. When you choose to enter an email, you can also choose how you want it displayed. So I'm going to display it as Cathi Barker. If they have a web address, you can also enter that. And if they have an instant messaging address, you can enter it here. And then below that, you can enter as many phone numbers as you wish. You can see only 4 at any given time, but you can enter, as you can see here, an assistant's phone number, a business phone number, a second business phone number, a business fax, and so on and so forth. So I'm just going to enter some numbers. Besides entering phone numbers, you can also enter addresses. You can enter up to 3 addresses, and you can nominate which one is a mailing address simply by ticking or unticking this option here. And all the while you can see that it's actually creating a business card which represents this person. Notice in this large field here, if you had any notes about the person, you could also enter the notes in there. Now I'm just going to put Cathi Barker from scratch. because this is a test contact. And I simply, when I'm finished, go save and close. Now it recognizes that there's another Cathi Barker in here, and it wants to update the information. I'm actually going to say no, add it as a new contact, and I'll go add. So sometimes if it's somebody who's already in your system, it'll say, do you want to update the information with this new contact details, or is it somebody with the same first name and last name as somebody else in your system? And so what we have here now is there's the original Cathi Barker there, and if I search my contacts for Cathi, you'll also find that I have a Cathi Barker from scratch. If I double click this contact, I can open it, edit it, print it, and I can close it. I can close it just by hitting the close button in the top right corner, or I can save it without closing by hitting the save button on the quick access toolbar, or I can save and close it by hitting this button here. This also at the top here, if I just hit this X to clear it, this is a very useful way that you can quickly search for contacts. So if I was to type Barker, anybody, without even pressing enter, who's got Barker in their name will be shown. And I can hit the X to clear it. Sometimes we want to create a contact though from an email, and rather than type everything from scratch, what I'll do is I'll go to my inbox. I'll see that I've got an email, say from Lynn, and I want to add her to my contacts. So as long as you've got the folders pane showing the folders button. So the folders pane on the left hand side has to be showing the folders view, not the mail view, but the folders view. And folders has to be blue. If that's the case, then you can literally drag the email out of your inbox and drop it on a contacts folder. Now when I let go, it will automatically fill in the full name and fill in the email. I can keep the email for my notes, or I can actually just drag certain stuff like Bayrider Secretary and drop it in job title. If I then save and close, I've actually added that person to my contacts. And if I go to my contacts and I was actually to type, it will eventually find her, and there it is there. And then I can hit the X. The other thing, of course, you can do to find a contact is simply to use the ABC alphabetical listing on the left-hand side. If I go to the B's, for example, then this is everybody who has the surname or has been filed as the surname Barker or B. If I go for the P's, then it's everybody who's got P as their surname. And I'll go back to all by clicking this option here and arrange and just click. So if you have an email, I'll go back to the inbox. Simply drag the email. So I might drag, say, Andre. Drag the email to your contacts folder, save and close, and you've added that person to your contacts folder. Now the other thing you may notice also is even though I dragged Andre, I didn't lose the email from my inbox. So when you drag an email to a contacts folder to make a new contact, you will not lose the email, because when you drag, you're creating an entirely different object. So you actually end up with the email and a contact.